It's there.
Hello, and this is a advanced GUI tutorial for Gamemaker, and I'm actually going to be showing it to you with my RPG engine that's loosely based on D&D 3.5 rules, mostly because I hate 4. Anyway, so I kind of have to show you a little bit of the game first to show you what I'm going to be doing. It involves side GUI, bottom GUI, all of that, which I've done before, but it also involves switching menus and stuff. So why am I bothering making a character? Anyway, so you have, when making a GUI, you're going to have to decide how you actually want it laid out first, do some rough sketches, and you're going to want all of the features that people should be able to access with a couple clicks. So, for instance, I decided that I was going to need a text box, so I put it right here, and I decided I was going to need some quick slots for weapons, right here, and offhand weapons or shields, so that people can equip them and unequip them really fast. This was originally for ammo. I decided that you really wouldn't need ammo. I would just have the bows have infinite ammo, and instead put this for spells and other items that can be easily used. For instance, you could put a potion here and right click to use, and you can put spells here and right click to use, so you have quick slots and everything. And then I have all of this on the side. Now this is actually I think this might be all one thing, I honestly forget, but then I have the gameplay view, which is also where all the menus come up. So there are a couple ways of doing this. You can either have one view that has an object following that goes through all the different menus, or you can have different views and call them visible or invisible, and I'll show you what I mean. Right now you have the gameplay view, which I think is like, let's say, view 2. And then we have the attribute menu, which let's say view 3. When you click on this button right here in the GUI, then it says the gameplay view, view 2, is not visible, and the attribute menu view, whatever number that is visible. When I click again, the gameplay is visible again, that menu's not. And we also have for map, journal, inventory. These are actually buttons, options. Not all the menus are done. Then we have like attributes and stuff, and you can click it again to have this. So I'm going to show you how I did that. It's not a lot of code, actually. You have to start, honestly, with your room, and you'll see that with all my views, I actually only start with 3 views, but I use all 7. Now, let me just turn that off so we can see what we got here. I'm just going to click through these so I know which one's which. Alright. Alright, so the way I did it was view, one of my views is just all of these side buttons, and what I did was I made the box. The way that you do views is, first you have to set how much of the room you can see and where you actually see it, and then, which is called view in room, and then you can choose where you want to like paste it on the screen. Think of it as layering in Photoshop or green screening in a video. You have all these different layers, and you can decide where you want the layer and on top of which other layers, and whether or not you can see it and stuff. So we want this. I made a mock screen with the options menu so that I know I have all of these numbers right. So the view in room is 0, 0, but let me move that to like 64. You can see that that rectangle moved. If I move it another 164, you have 128. Now we can see, and we have this box, and we can see where it's actually seeing in the room. So I'm going to change it back to 0, and we can see the box around all these buttons, which is what I want. So then we have where we the size of the box. I did it 64 by 448 because that is the size of all of my buttons. If I had another row of buttons, I could say I want it 128, and then I have both rows of my buttons. Or let's say I had another another button. I could make this longer, say like 560, and you can see the box gets longer. So you use these numbers to say where you're looking in the room and how much of the room you see. And the reason I did a mock screen up here is because then on the pour on screen, which is where it shows different views, I know where it's going to be and I get the right numbers. And it just so happens that the numbers stay the same if you do a mock screen. So the port on screen is 0, 0 with the width 64 and 448 because that is exactly what this is. Now let's say I wanted it on the other side of the screen. I would say that this is now 0. I'm going to make it 64 to make this easier since that's what size the buttons are. I would want this view, the gameplay view, to be at 0, 0, and I would want this to be over here, which happens to be 640 by 0. So I would just say the port on screen is 640 by 0 with these numbers, and suddenly and then I would take the gameplay view and move it over to the left by 64, and suddenly now the buttons are on the right. So you can do that. I'm actually going to do that just to show you that it's that simple. So I'll check that it's visible, and we say that the view in room is port on screen is that. Change it to that. Now I'm not sure how this works. What the hell is view? Oh, view 2 is my gameplay view. And then I can go into all my other menus, and where it says 64, I just hit 0, and now all of that is on the right. I actually meant to switch it to the right side of the screen anyway. It's more traditional as far as RPGs go. Alright, there we go. And now we have view 1. And view 1 is my bottom GUI. So let's you only see the box if you say visible when room starts. So if you don't want to be visible when your room starts, you should check it, make sure the box is in the right place, and then uncheck it. Like for instance, 3 through 7 are not visible when the room starts, but I need to check the boxes. So then what I have is a box down here that goes over the entire thing, and it shows at the bottom of the screen. So the view in room is 0, 448, because that's where it is. I could change 448. Yep, 448. I could change that to like 640 or whatever if it were lower, or wherever it is, so that the box completely surrounds what I need. And then the width is, once again, checked by the box, the height. And then I don't change numbers down here because I want it at the bottom of the screen. And then view 2 is my gameplay view, which I just set as the entire width of what this will take up. And the port on screen is now going to be 0 and 0 and not, because our thing's going to be over here. But I put the GUI bar here because I can just move it later, like I showed you. And I put it following my character, which is character_control. And the H border should be your width in room divided by 2, and your vertical border should be your height view in room divided by 2. So that way, no matter where you're moving, it's always going with you. So now I'm going to show you how you actually get these to work. And I'm just going to show you a couple example buttons. For instance, character_avatar, when it's created, it sets up the views. And I have a little note here on which view is which. For instance, view 0 is the menu, view 1 is bottom GUI, view 2 is gameplay, 3 attributes, etc., etc. So what it does is, when it's created, it sets the visible views. 0 is true, 1 is true, and 2 is true. 3 through 7 is false, and then I have a variable called clicked, which equals false. So what happens is it sets all of these views as visible or invisible depending on whether I need them. Now in the beginning, all I need is the menu, the bottom GUI, and the gameplay, because you're not clicking any menu buttons yet. So the function that does this is view_visible, and then in brackets, not parentheses, brackets, you put the number of what view you want. Then you can change it to visible, then you can set it to true to be visible and false to be invisible. And now in left released, basically you're clicking on it, I once again have my notes on which one's which, and then I reset which ones are visible and not visible. So if clicked equals false, it will say this means it's being clicked. So view underscore visible 0 is true because we still need the side GUI and we still need the bottom GUI. But we no longer want to see the gameplay, so view 2 equals false, and then view 3 equals true, and clicked equals true. And then we have an else statement because clicked equals false, so that we have view visible 3 is false and 2 is true, which basically means we're going from the attribute menu to the gameplay. If clicked is equal to false, which means we're clicking it, we're going from gameplay to attribute menu. If it's already clicked and you click again, we're going from attribute menu to gameplay. So we do a little switch. And that's the same for all the buttons except a different view. You're constantly switching out gameplay for whatever else it is. And then in draw, I think I just have, yeah, I just have what image actually, so you don't need to worry about that. And the same happens for all of these, except in the left click, you'll see that it's slightly different. 2 is false, 3 is false, 4 is true, and the next one 5 will be true, and 6 will be true. And you switch out which view is switching with the attribute menu. You're just switching out which view you're using. So now, once again, I'll go ahead and show you how you can move using when I move that around with the variable. And another way to do it, like I said, is if you have an object and you say that all the views, a single view is object following, and you move the object with each click of a button, and you say that when you click on a menu, then the gameplay is invisible and the menu view is visible, and then you just swap it out when you click. So I'm just gonna keep these settings, I guess, and play. Alright, so here we go, and you can see that this bar is now over here and the gameplay's over here, but the size of everything didn't change, and it's still the same exact port on screen and everything, so that it all works. Why am I playing this? Anyway, so that's pretty much it for GUIs. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please ask, and if anything wasn't that clear, please ask. And once again, thanks for watching. Please rate, comment, and don't forget to follow me on Twitter at FP_games.